welcome to Sandra's Authors Forum Talk Show. It affords me a great honor to have a wonderful guest tonight, and her name is Dawn. Dawn, how are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you, Sandra, for having me.
You are so welcome. I appreciate you for joining us tonight. We're going to have in-depth conversation about this wonderful book that you crafted, Filling the
Thank
Blank
you.
Page. Oh my gosh, it's a little black book, right? And it
Hmm.
is so powerful, and it's going to steer us in the right direction and lead us to a better life, right?
That's my hope.
Yes, how to build a retirement of passion and purpose. Now, I love
Hmm.
the word passion, but when you said purpose, that's a whole nother ball game. And so
It
I
sure
am
is.
so happy to talk to you tonight, and I want you to just tell us everything. Tell us all of your business, all right?
All my secrets.
Well, everybody, my name is Dr. Sandra E. Jackson, and the E stands for ecstatic because I am ecstatic to be alive. And I pray to God you are as well. If you don't know me, I am a life coach, I am a shiftologist, and it is my passion to align with you and to help you become your best self. Reach out to me, and I will be delighted, especially because 2026 is coming. Oh my God, so quickly. You want to be as best as you can be. All right. Tune in with me on our YouTube channel, Shiftologist Sandra, and you will find all of the shows, including Les Brown, the motivational speaker. Well, it affords me a pleasure to introduce to you Dawn. She is a certified professional retirement coach. She is a mom, a marathon runner, and a reader of all things mystery. So tonight we're here to talk about this little book, and it's jammed with so much vital information. So, Dawn, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself tonight?
Of course. Thanks again for having me. I'm so excited to be. So, I am a mom. As you mentioned, I have two beautiful children, girls, that are adultish and still living at home. I'm hoping that they stay forever, but it's probably not going to happen. I do have a wonderful husband. Next year, we'll be celebrating 30 years of marriage, so very excited about that. We're trying to plan a big trip to Ireland. We're hoping to celebrate that milestone. I'm also a writer. I have always loved putting words together and have over and over tried to create things that help others when I do that. So this is not my first book, probably won't be my last book, but over the course of the last, oh, I suppose it's been 15 years or so, I have, when I run into a problem in my own life, whether it's, trying to keep my kids' face from in front of a screen or, a woman of a certain age who's having trouble losing weight, things like that. I do the research, I write the book, I publish the book. So this most recent effort of mine is all about retirement, but not the way that most people think of it. When you say the word retirement, everybody thinks money. There's a whole industry around that. So it's understandable. But retirement has changed and people aren't prepared for the non financial side. They don't plan for that because nobody says you need to. And that's a problem.
Well, I thank you for writing this book about retirement. It's like you said, it's not about, the nuts and bolts of how to retire financially, so to speak, but it is talking about making sure you're in a mental state, a healthy state of retirement, and there's a merit of things you can do
Hmm.
in order to get that done. We
Of
want
course.
to talk to you about this book. The purchase link is in the comment section, and it's also on the screen. It is not expensive at all. It's only $20. We want you to go and purchase it so you can have it. Dawn, can you hold yours up?
Oh, see?
Here it is. I've been reading and scanning through this book for over a month now, and I am pleased to tell you that I highly recommend this for you, and you are safe by purchasing this book.
I
All right,
appreciate
so
that.
let's.
That is so kind.
Oh, no worries. My question to the audience is one, do you want to retire? But are you not sure that you will um, do it correctly? Or if you have the right talents to pick up another gig or not? Um, is your spouse going to allow you to retire? Are you going to retire happy or are you going to retire sad? Hmm. So, Don, tell me why you wrote this book.
Well, in full disclosure, I do work for a financial planning firm, but I am not a financial planner. I am admin staff. But what we saw over time was that a lot of people would retire and yay, I don't have to go to work, yay, for about 6 months. And all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm bored. What do I do? I don't have my purpose. I don't have a reason to get out of bed anymore. So what, what's going on here? Where did I fail? Why am I not succeeding at retirement? Because when you're working, there's all kinds of goalposts and criteria. You know you're doing well. But when you retire, you don't have that same mentality, those same guideposts. And so a lot of people kind of flounder around for a little while. The other thing we saw was that people delay retiring
Hmm.
because they have this fear of, well, what am I going to do with my time? A lot of them are executives and they work 60, 80 hours every week, and that's a lot of time to try and fill.
Yes.
So we saw people delaying things. And I really felt a pull to help with that. Also, because my husband is within maybe 2 years of retirement. And again, I don't want him to retire to the couch. I want him to retire to a happy, fulfilled life, doing the things that he hasn't been able to do while we've been, raising kids, building the career, all the normal things that you do. I want him to be able to explore some of the things that he's been passionate about, but we haven't had the time, we haven't had the money, whatever. So it became important to me to figure out, well, how do I help him do that? How do I help other people do that? And so that's when I went out and got certified as you said, a certified professional retirement coach. So just to kind of level set a little bit, if you are someone who has a financial advisor and they have some letters after their name, the organization that recognizes those letters recognizes mine. So it's not like I just went out and picked a pretty font, printed off a certificate.
Right.
There's actual training involved in this, right? And I have to take continuing credit in order to keep that certification. So I'm not just somebody who just decided this was what I was going to call myself. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's a
You
real
know, the appeal of retirement lies in the freedom
thing.
from juggling many competitive demands.
Yeah.
That's what you were referring to. However,
Hmm.
many people are, um, they're not prepared for the transition.
No.
What recommendations do you have for their preparation?
Well, there are things you can do before you retire to help that transition. The biggest thing is to establish social relationships, friends, family, whatever, outside of work. Because what happens, if anybody has ever changed a job, changed a career, and tried to maintain friendships with people from the former job, and that was the only thing that was common was that job, you probably found that that friendship faltered because you didn't share interests. So there, you gossip about the people and then you're done. What do you talk about now, right? Same thing happens when you retire. If all of your relations at work, and that's the only thing you have in common, those relationships are just going to falter and die. But if you've already established 2 or 3 or 20, whatever's appropriate for your personality, relationships outside of work before you retire,
True.
you're not going to have that sudden stop that many people run into. And there are studies that show the number one indicator of happiness for everybody, doesn't matter what your age, where you live, gender, marital status, none of that, is the quality of your relationship. So if you don't have relationships, you're not going to be happy. So that's the number one thing that people can do. The other thing is to just understand that your job provides a routine, it provides intellectual stimulation and emotional support. If you don't plan on how to replace those, then again, it's this huge shift and all of a sudden all this stuff is gone. And it's so important to try and think about that ahead of time, but nobody talks about that. This is, I will admit, a brand new industry. And so there aren't a lot of retirement coaches out there trying to spread the word, but we're growing. There's more of us every day. And again, that's why I wrote the book. I can only coach so many people. There are only so many hours in the day, but a book can reach a much wider audience. And my hope is that people read it and go, oh, this is fantastic. Oh, my brother's retiring or my neighbor's retiring or here, read this book. This will be very helpful to you. That's my dream. We'll see how it works out.
So retirement has a stigma, like most
Mhm.
people that retire end up dying quicker. Um,
Yeah.
or if they're a married couple, they're lost without their spouse. And
Hmm.
so a lot of people end up working to the bone
Hmm.
because of that fear. What would you recommend?
Well, I think that fear is based in about 3 generations ago,
Hmm.
because 3 generations ago, that's what happened. You retired, you lived maybe 5, 10 years, were not healthy, and you died. Not true anymore. And that's actually where the financial industry has grown, because all of a sudden people were outliving their money, and that's not good, right? So then the financial part of it grew, but we continue to expand that amount of time after you retire. I mean, today you may live 30 years, an entire adult lifetime after you retire. And people just aren't prepared for that. I mean, we talk about longer lifestyle or longer lifetimes being great, but you don't think about, well, what does that mean day to day? What am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow? What purpose do I have?
Right.
And people lose that. And of course, there's those wonderful commercials, where you're turning into your parents, and suddenly you're less relevant, less intelligent, less connected. And that's what people think about retirement, but it's not true anymore. But I still feel like I'm swimming upstream trying to get that word out
Yes, that's good to know. That's good to know. So you say one thing in the book. You say someone told you to retire as soon as you can,
there.
but at
Hmm.
the end of the month so that you can collect everything that's owed to you. Tell
Yes,
the audience how important it is for people to retire at the right time.
it is vital. And I want to point out that this book, I went out and interviewed about 50 people that have retired. Some people just retired, some people 5, 10, 15 years into it. So it's not just my advice, it's advice from people that have lived it. But one of the individuals said when he retired, he kind of didn't think a whole lot about choosing a date. He just was like, oh, I'm going to retire beginning of the year. And because we're turning a new year, it seemed like good timing for no particular reason. But what he found out is that when he did it that way, there were benefits he lost from work, there were benefits that he lost from Social Security, different things. And so it's really important to investigate all of the issues that go into retirement. What does your work provide for you? There are some companies that will provide additional assistance helping you figure out retirement. What does that entail? When does that start? Is it 3 months before you retire, or 6 months before you retire, or what, right? So it's really important, rather than just saying, hey, honey, I want to retire next year, I'm going to pick March 1st. Do some digging, figure out And the other part of that too is think about what you want to do that first 6 months or a year. So I live in Minnesota. We have winters that last forever. Sometimes it feels like, right? So when my husband retires, I am strongly encouraging him to retire in, say, March or April, because he loves to garden. So if he retires then he can plant his own seeds and, just be planting the garden, da da da, all of that kind of stuff. And then it'll be spring and he will have that all summer, right? So he'll have kind of things built in. Whereas if he just decided, well, I want to retire in December, well, that leaves, 6 months of winter where he doesn't have anything outside that he's doing right now. So that's probably not a good idea. Again, retiring to the couch. Don't want that. So unless he's planning for something, oh, I'm going to join a bowling league or I'm going to whatever, I don't know. You need to think about that aspect of it as well. And the people in your life, what are they doing at that time? If you're married, what does your spouse think about when you want to retire? Things like that. So it's more than just picking a date. There's more to consider. And I think there's a lot of people who don't think about that aspect of it.
All right. So you say for those that retire or getting prepared to retire, it's best for them to take at least 6 months off to give themselves time to
Mhm.
figure out what they
Yes,
want to do with the
yes,
rest of their life,
yes.
including having fun and
Mhm,
serving others, right? And
mhm,
so,
mhm.
why 6 months? That seemed like a long time.
It kind of does, but we all hear about this never-ending vacation that most of us expect in retirement. Don't have to go to work, don't have to get up, don't have to go to that meeting that should have been an email, all those kinds of things. And that sense of exhilaration and freedom is fantastic. Embrace it. But generally, it only lasts about 6 months. So, I mean, if there's anybody here that remembers or is old enough to remember in the summers, you're let out of school, woohoo, it's awesome. But by the end of the summer, you're bouncing off the walls and driving your parents crazy because you're bored. Same thing happens when you retire. If you don't have specific plans of things that you're going to want to do, you're going to get bored. But that exhilaration usually does last about 6 months. So if you know that going in and you could really enjoy it, but while you're enjoying it, you're thinking about, okay, what are my next steps going to be? What are some things that I'm interested in that I haven't got to try before, maybe, or things that I was interested in when I was young and didn't have the money? Well, now I have the money and the time, right? So taking that time to really consider your next steps can just expand your universe in ways you cannot even imagine until you actually sit down and do it.
How can a wife assist and align with her husband? Because the wife is like, she's used to her space
Hmm.
and she feels like when her husband retires, it's going to be too much time,
Oh,
not enough space
common,
for both of them in the house for
very
that many
common.
hours.
I
So,
have a great story that I tell when I go out and speak on this topic. And I am so mean to my dad because when I remember when he retired probably 4 or 5 years after my mother retired. And I remember him in the kitchen alphabetizing her spice rack because he was bored. And it's like, oh, no, no, that's not going to work, honey. You need to find something to do. But they didn't do what most couples don't do, and that's talk about it before we do it. What do you expect my retirement to be? What are you looking for from me? So, in my own example, my husband's going to retire before I do. Okay, great. But he needs to do things, right? He needs to find things to do, but he's going to be at home. So in my head, I'm thinking, awesome, I don't ever have to cook again because he'll cook dinner for me every night, right? But I probably need to mention that to him at some point before where he retires so that he understands this is my expectation.
that is
If
good.
you don't discuss those kinds of things, it just leads to trouble. But that's the key. Discuss it beforehand and start early. And you don't have to have all you we're going to fix it all in one discussion. And I have a whole chapter of this in the book with a list of questions that you can discuss with your spouse so that you can kind of figure out and you're both happy, because one spouse might think, oh, we're going to be joined at the hip from now on. And the other spouse, and this is me, thinks I'm going to go do my stuff. He's going to go do his stuff, and we'll come together in the evening and we'll chat about what we did and it'll be fun. But if I don't share that with him ahead of time, and he doesn't share with me, and all of a sudden he's here, to your point, all the time, that's not going to work. So the key is communication early and often until you figure it out.
That is amazing, because it is important to be on the same page.
Hmm.
And like you said, it could cause frustration if you don't go through the litany of things that you have in your head, verbalize them so your
Hmm.
spouse will know, whichever one is going to retire first, they'll know what's expected. And it's
Hmm.
just not like to have a couch ministry and to play video games and to,
That's me.
read books all day. No, you have to still, in order to remain healthy mentally, physically, emotionally,
Hmm.
spiritually, you
Yes.
have to already have something in place so you won't feel like it's a waste of time, like you're not benefiting the family.
Yes.
So thank you for going into
Yeah.
that.
Well, and the
Um,
other thing to keep in mind is that, okay, you have a discussion and you say, we're going to do it this way, and you try it and it doesn't work, you can come back. It's not written in stone. Whatever you decide initially, you can revisit as things change over time. The first 5 or 10 years, maybe it works like that, but something changes. Okay, let's shift and adjust as needed. So it's not written in stone, but it's just you got to keep that communication open. And in any marriage, you don't always get everything you want. There's compromises to be made, but you can do it in such a way that everybody's pretty happy.
really? No, you don't get all you want.
Okay, I get everything I want, but the rest of the world doesn't work that
So we have Alicia on, and she's from Wisconsin, and she says this is a very interesting subject. I've rarely heard discussed.
way. Hmm.
Much needed conversation. Thank you.
Yes, agreed.
And Victoria says, "Hi Dawn, what made you choose that title?" And so before you answer that,
Okay.
my brilliant mind said to you, filling the blank page instead of filling the blank pages. Why did you choose filling the blank page? And you said what?
It seemed easier. It sounded better. It also, as I thought about it, after you asked the question of me, using the word pages, I felt like might feel a little overwhelming to people, like there's just too much space to fill. But to be honest, I actually stole the title from a client who we were just discussing, she just chit chatting before we got started. And she was talking about how she goes for a walk once a week, I think it was, with her girlfriends around the neighborhood. And they specifically said, we don't know how we're going to fill the blank page after we retire. And I was like, oh, what a brilliant title for a book. So I totally stole it.
That's very interesting. All right. What is the single biggest mistake people make in non financial retirement planning? And how does your book address it?
And I've already touched on this once. The number one issue is social connection. I mean, we learned it in the pandemic. When you become isolated, it affects everything: mental health, physical health, everything. So, and this, I'm going to be a little sexist for a minute here. Sorry, guys. Particularly true of men, where most of, if not all, of their social relationships are at work or through their wife. Like you have friends that are couples and you're a couple and you're friends, right? So when they retire, they don't have any of their own people to, oh, I want to go to a concert. Who do I call? Nobody. I don't have, right? There's nothing. So building those relationships outside of work is really the number one thing you can do. Because also when you retire and you've got friends, well, those friends are probably already doing some things and they can invite you to do those things. And maybe, it's something you share. I'm a runner, so I have friends who are runners, and they could, hey, come join this group. And I did join this group called Old Ladies Running because it's awesome because I run really slow. And anyway, so they got me to join, but I would never have done that on my own. But now I'm in a group and they're a lot of fun. And so just having those social, even if it's just a couple to start with, someplace to start when you retire is so, so important because it leads to everything else. I'm sorry, I've lost sound from you. I'm sorry. There we
That's all
go.
right. The
No, no.
CPRC certification background
Mhm.
emphasizes the uh, sociological transition into retirement. How
Mhm.
do you coach people to answer the critical question, who am I without my job title?
Oh, such a huge question. Because for many of us, that's our identity. That's who we are. And to think about who are we without that is a huge shift. So, one of the things that I do or I ask people to do, and this is kind of a brainstorming activity, take a blank piece of paper, write down every task that you do at home, wherever. And then we look at it and we bounce it up against their calendar. And the idea here is to show them, oh, I cooked. And I'm a wife, so I cooked, I cleaned, got the kid, whatever. But there'll be things like I play video games, I read a book, I went to the library. Okay, see all these other parts of your personality? Now you get to let those shine. Are there any things there that you would like to enjoy more? And the other thing that I have people do, because sometimes they will already have a passion, but it's just that mental shift of I am a teacher to I am retired. Well, let's skip the word retired. And maybe you're passionate about mentoring. And now it's, well, I'm a mentor. And that simple I am statement. So if there's something that you want to become, I am a runner. I haven't always been a runner. I am now. And after quite a few years, I identify that way. But it's by repeating that to myself, I am whatever, can just make that mental shift so much easier.
Thank you for that. And we're so happy to have everyone on. Please feel free to
Mhm.
add your questions for Dawn because this book is powerful about retirement. All right. The challenge. What are a few challenges that most retirees face after they retire?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. um, Generally speaking, one of the biggest challenges, yeah, I guess challenges is the right word, is figuring out the fact that I'm going to keep changing. There's a great quote that I share, and I think I put it in the book, but basically it talks about the fact that we as adults think this is it. This is who we are. We are adult now. We've learned what we're going to learn. This is who we're going to be. But that's not true. We keep changing and we keep growing. And that word retirement gets into people's head and they think, oh, I'm going to shrink now. I'm going to become less. And they can lose that growth mindset that they may have had before that keeps them going and keeps them learning. So overcoming that kind of cultural, I'm retired now, I must be small, uh, is a huge mind shift for people because it's unconscious. We don't really realize that that's what we're thinking in the back of our heads. And so learning to overcome that and understanding that we will continue to change, and if we choose grow, we're going to continue to change whether we want to or not. So we need to choose to change in a growth way. So having new experiences, learning new things, trying new things, meeting new people. There's a whole big world out there, and once you get plugged into it and plugged into whatever you happen to be passionate about within that world, you will it just explodes everything. One of the things that I tell people as I'm coaching and speaking and whatever is that my goal is to get everybody to what I call the fourth phase of retirement, which is reinvention. So you've gone through the honeymoon phase, you've gone through the lost phase where you've just not, it's just, oh my gosh, I'm terrible and failing at retirement. Gone through the exploration phase, which is where you're just trying a bunch of different things, trying to figure out what you want to do, all the way to reinvention. And in reinvention, you are resilient. So when life throws changes at you, you can handle it. You have identified 3 or 4 what we call core pursuits, so hobbies on steroids that you enjoy doing that get you out and about in the world, you get you out of bed in the morning. And generally speaking, in at least one of those areas, you're giving back to your community in some way. So that's the passion. You're really passionate about these things, and the purpose. Your purpose, at least in one of those, is to give back and help other people in some way. So that's kind of where the passion and the purpose came from. But getting to that takes quite a bit of effort and a fair amount of time.
Well,
Ooh.
that's perfect. We're going to ask a question from Victoria. She said, "What's your favorite chapter from your book?"
Oh my gosh.
And you can read right now if you would like.
Can I read it? Okay. All
Yes.
right. I know I keep harping on this, but the social is so important. Can I tell a quick story before I do
Sure.
this?
Yes.
So the reason I know that the social is so important because I have seen it personally in my father. When we had the pandemic, my father was in his mid 80s, mid to late 80s, and he lived in a 55 plus community and they were told stay in your room, don't come out, right? As everyone was. And over the course of time, those 6 months or whatever it was, we were told not to come out. His whole physicality, mentality, everything just fizzled out. I mean, it was awful. And it was terrible. And he ended up in the hospital and then he ended up in nursing care. And I'll be honest, I was thinking, okay, he's 88 years old. Maybe this is just the way things go, whatever. Right. So early 2021, lockdown is over. He's out and about. I kid you not, 3 months, he had completely recovered, was back in independent living, back with all his friends. And it was all about the social for him. He's an extreme extrovert. And so that not being able to interact daily killed him. It just killed him. So I have seen firsthand how important the social interaction is. So I'm going to read. I guess I didn't actually put chapter numbers on my chapters now that I'm looking at my book. But anyway, it's the one about who do I want to spend time with. And I love the quote from John Lennon that says, "Count your age by friends, not years." The number one indicator of happiness is the strength of your relationships. Losing contact with work friends is very common for retirees, which makes it so much more important to form relationships outside of work. But just like anything else that's important, it takes time and effort. In some ways, retirement can make it easier because now you have the time and the space to choose who you want to interact with, how you want to spend time with them, and how often. But I cannot emphasize enough that making a commitment to ongoing effort is vital. This isn't something you can dabble in and expect good things to happen. It's also something I highly recommend you start working on before you retire. Establish and build relationships outside of your job now, and you will be a step ahead in your retirement. Remember, it isn't the number of relationships that is important, but the quality of them. So that's one of my favorite parts of my book. Because
Yes.
I'm an introvert and I like emphasizing quality is above quantity. Because I have 4 friends and I'm happy with that. That's enough for me. Well, 5 counting my husband. So,
Right. So Alicia says, "Have you ever encouraged or helped people who are loners and generally non-social?"
oh, for sure. For sure. Again, it's not quantity, it's quality. So, again, I'm going to pick on myself a little bit. I have 4 friends. 2 of them live in the same state that I do, but that's enough for me. I have one friend that I play video games with every week. Yeah, I know, I'm a gamer. I have one friend that I just call every week. She lives in Florida and we just chit chat. I have another friend that we've been friends for 30 plus years and we visit each other and so forth. But again, just call and chit chat. So it's what you're comfortable with. So if you are happy with what you have, then that's fine. Don't let people tell you you have to have more. I get a little irritated with our extroverted world who is constantly telling me I'm not enough because I'm introverted. Don't listen to them. They're wrong. Um, but on the other hand, having said that, if you are not happy with what you have, you want more interaction, start with where you are. Who do you already know? Could be family members, could be friends, could be the kid at the Subway store fixing your sandwich, whatever. And then just invite them to do something. Hopefully, these are people that you have some sort of shared interest in. So, for example, one of my brothers is a runner, and he is someone that I definitely want to expand my relationship with. I mean, I grew up with him, but we're both busy people. We only see each other maybe once a month, something like that. So after we both retire, it will be, hey, do you want to go running with me next week? Yeah, great, let's go. Right. And you chat while you're running, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. That's the key, is you're not going to build a relationship with just one outing, one experience. Hopefully it goes well. Hey, let's do this again. Great, let's get it planned. Da 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 da. Right, and that's how you build your social network. The other thing I caution people about, and again, this comes from my introvertedness, is you don't want to go through this process with more than maybe two people at a time, because then it can start feeling overwhelming. And Murphy's Law says that if you're trying to interact with too many people, they're all going to choose the same day that they want to do something with you, right? And then you're going to have to tell somebody no, and that doesn't feel good. So in general, I recommend that you maybe only go through this process with one or two people at a time. And then once you've got that to the level of relationship that you want, if you want more people in your life, then you just move on to the next person and rinse and repeat.
So I want you to, you mentioned your brother a couple times now. And so, I read that story about your brother. Please tell me how he nudged you.
So I'm the youngest, and I have two brothers who are extreme athletes. One rides bikes, these 200, 300 miles at a time, kind of bike rides. The other one has run many, many marathons. And one day, and I was complaining because I was tired and I had arthritis and I was out of shape, and I was in my 30s, by the way, at the time. And I was just not feeling very good about myself. And he said, well, I challenge you to run the Twin Cities Marathon with me next year, and I will train with you and do this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll try it. and he did. But he's a liar, because he would take me on runs, right? And I'm not always the brightest bulb on the tree. So he would take me for a run and say, oh, we're going to run 4 miles. And we would run, we'd run this way, and then we run this way, and then we run this way. And we get this way. And I'm like, we've already run 4 miles. Wait a minute. How we get that? I'd spend the next 4 miles trying to figure out the math of how, and we'd get back and he'd be like, oh yeah, I just made you run 8 miles. Oh, you bad boy.
Oh my goodness, 8 miles.
Yeah. And but he is such a blessing to me. He is so much fun, and I love him dearly. But yeah, he got me into running, and it's addictive. He got me to run the first marathon, and and of course at the end I'm like, I made it. Oh, I want to do that again. My whole family looks at me like, are you insane? But it's true. It's very addictive. I learned a lot of life lessons training to run marathons. So there you go. Oh, Victoria, that's great.
Yeah.
Introverted gamer. Yay.
Yes. My son is a gamer. He travels the world and goes to Spain and all
Oh
kinds
my
of
gosh.
places. Yes. So, and he has a
Wow.
team, and he's just amazing. I can't even believe it. So, yeah.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome.
the book subtitle
Yes.
mentions passion and purpose. Can you
Hmm.
distinguish between these two concepts as they
Hmm.
relate to a fulfilling retirement? And which one is more essential for long time happiness?
Wow. Okay. Well, so a passion is just what it sounds like. It's more of an emotion. You're excited to do this thing. You want to do this thing. There's a drive. You could even call a calling to do whatever. Now, I firmly believe that we all have callings in our life. And I firmly believe that we have more than one in our lifetime, right? It's not just one. So when you retire, you may have an entirely new calling that you did not even expect to have. And that's the passion. The getting you out of bed in the morning is the purpose. The why are you passionate about that? And to be honest, that's really the more important thing. People that don't have a purpose, you can love golf and golf all you want, but that doesn't provide a purpose. And sooner or later, no matter how much you love it, it's going to get boring. But if you have a purpose, a passion to, I want to share this sport with others that I love, and I want to get kids involved and things like that. And so then you start expanding that passion beyond just showing up and doing the activity. That's where you're going to find your purpose. And that's what's going to get you out of bed in the morning, because you want to keep doing that and fulfilling that. And again, I think that's true for any age. If we don't have a purpose, we're just lost. I mean, I remember when my girls, I have always wanted to be a mom. I should let you know that. Always wanted to be a mom. And my whole life as a child, I was a nanny and I babysat and I worked at a daycare center, right? I have a bachelor's in education, children, 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 right? And I had children and they're fabulous and I loved it. And then they hit middle school. I have never been so lost in my whole life. I was like, I don't know what to do now. I mean, I'd had training. I knew what to do when they were little, but middle school, they're just like, bye, mom. That, I mean, any parent can tell you teenagers is a tough, tweens and teens, but just the idea that they didn't need me anymore was devastating. And of course, I worked through it, figured it out, right? But the same thing can happen when we retire. All of a sudden, our purpose of getting up and going to work is gone. And if we're not ready for that, then it's so lost and it can just be devastating. So that's what I try to help people avoid, if at all possible.
Awesome. What are some things that people surprisingly do correct when approaching retirement?
There's a lot of people who start making lists of things they want to do. And that is such a fabulous idea. Absolutely fabulous. Because especially as a brainstorming activity and you're not trying to figure out how you're going to do those things, it's just, I'm curious about these things and I know I'm going to retire. So I want to learn sign language and I want to learn how to play the guitar and I want to go to, the local university and audit some class, whatever it is, right? They just start making a list. And having that specific list is fantastic because, again, a lot of us are like, oh, when I retire, I'm going to travel more and I'm going to spend time with the grandkids. And it's just this kind of general pie in the sky kind of thing without any solid plans to back it up. And then when we retire, we're like, well, you can't travel all the time. You can't spend all your time, right? And you don't have the specific details. So when you have a list, you can go, okay, well, I'm going to take 2 trips a year, but in between that, I've got this list of other things. Let's start with fencing. Okay, I want to learn to fence. Oh, there aren't any fencing clubs close by. Okay, well, what's next? Oh, astronomy. Hey, there's an astronomy club over here, at the high school. I'll go get into that, whatever, right? So just having that more than one thing list that you can work through, huge, huge. And people just kind of accidentally do that. They don't really think about why it's a good idea. They just do it. So that's probably the number one thing that I see.
All right, you said Dick Van Dyke says, to me, retirement means doing what you have fun doing. That's what it
Yeah,
means to me, too. I mean, if
me
you're not
too.
having fun, then you shouldn't retire.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, and I do want to point out you don't have to fully retire. There's this idea that okay, either you're working or you're retired. You're not doing both. No, you can do both. Especially in today's age, there are a lot of people who have been, brick and mortar, you got to go in every day. But online stuff is huge. So now you've been in an industry for however many years, you can open your own business and be a consultant and work the hours you want to work and or not. Oh, I'm going to be gone for a month in Italy, so I'm not going to have clients for that month. Okay, great. Do that. I have a brother who says he's never going to retire because he's so passionate about what he does. But his wife has said, well, maybe you could just not work 80 hours a week. Oh, okay. Nice compromise. There you go. He'll work 40 hours a week instead of 80 hours a week, and they're happy with that. Okay. So it isn't all or nothing. It's what you want to do, what makes you happy. And if getting up and going to work makes you happy 3 days a week, then do that.
All right. So you speak about happiness a lot. Can you tell
Hmm.
me three things that you're happy about?
Oh my gosh. Okay,
And
three.
also the audience, put in the comment section three things that you're happy about right now in your life. All right. Go ahead, type it in the
Okay.
comment section.
So three things. I have to limit it to three. Okay. Um, I'm happy about my job. I'll be honest. I love my job. The people that I work with are so kind and so supportive. It's the kind of culture you just don't find very often in a business world. And so I love that. I'm so grateful for that. I am happy. Let's see what else. I'm happy we got snow. I know that sounds odd, but we've had some kind of brown Christmases the last couple of years, so I'm excited to have a nice white Christmas this year. And I'm happy that my children both are fully employed and still living at home. I'm going to be really sad when they leave. I don't just love my girls; I actually like them too, and enjoy spending what very little amount of time they allow together. So they are that makes me happy too that they're still around for whatever limited time.
Well, that's wonderful. Audience, I'm going to ask you another question because you didn't respond to that one. So, audience, giving thanks can make you happier. Who would you like to thank today? Just put their name in the comment section. I'm going to thank my parents. Although they're not here today, I owe everything to them. They were my foundation, they were my everything. And so I want to thank them. They were 10 out of 10, as the young people say. So, what about you, Dawn? Who would you like to thank
Um,
today?
I think probably my husband. He has been so supportive in all the different things that I have tried and done, and he's been a great dad, and he's just an all around pretty awesome guy. So I think I would thank him.
The audience said they want to thank their family. That's Alicia. Come
Hmm.
on, tell us who you want to thank because when you give gratitude back into the world, somehow things open up for you. And so that's why I'm asking you this question. I want you to participate because gratitude is a huge thing. All right, things happen that you will never know. I have a whole list of people that I could thank, and I want to also thank my children because my children, they, all right, my children are amazing. I have nine children that God blessed me with, and each of them hold their own spot in the family. And I just want to tell you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everything that you do to contribute to making the family cohesive, I appreciate you. All right, so it's coming in. It
Nice.
says, I am thankful. I'll thank my mother. She's 10 out of 10, the best bomb that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then Elisha said her
Oh,
grandchildren. Oh, that's nice.
oh, that
And
is.
my immediate circle of family includes my husband, daughters, sisters, and brothers. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Who else want to give thanks? This is an opportunity that you don't get too often to be able to say thank you to such people. So go ahead and put it in the comment section. Who would you like to say thank you to today? Um, and Victoria said, my health, my family, my relationship with God. That's very important.
Hmm.
All right. Oh, she said, congratulations to your children being employed.
I know.
That's a whole thing, right?
And what's crazy is they work together at the same company in the same department.
That is amazing. That's a God thing.
they
All right. And
they
so
are so devoted to it.
you couldn't have done it. Like
Yeah.
the spear method. The
Hmm.
spire is a spire.
Fire.
Spire.
Fire.
All right.
Hmm.
So the spire method is begins with S and it goes all the way to E. And
Hmm.
so we're going to talk about that right now. The
Okay.
S is for spiritual.
Hmm.
Go ahead and elaborate.
So spiritual isn't necessarily faith specifically, just having a sense of purpose, being part of something bigger than yourself. Now, I happen to be a woman of faith, so that's kind of where my brain goes, but that doesn't work for every. Um, and I should say the Spire model, the idea is that you want to be balanced and have things going on in each of the letters in order to be happiest, basically. So S is again spiritual. The P is physical, so being in good physical health. That includes mind and body, so that could be meditation, prayer, physically working out, that kind of thing. Uh, sorry, I have to stop and think. I is intellectual, so your brain, learning things. We talked about learning a language, learning a musical instrument, meeting new people, that kind of thing. Just that intellectual stimulation is so important. And R is relational. So again, we've talked about that a lot, having, social connections in your family, in your community, wherever. And then E is emotional. So that's one thing that we don't really talk about a lot is our not just our emotional intelligence, but our emotional strength and connection. And we don't realize that our job gives us a lot of emotional boost that, hey, thanks for filling in while I was out on vacation, or you did a really good job on that presentation, or whatever it is. People don't think about that when they retire, that goes away. So if you don't have a way to replace that, like you've joined a bowling team and they're going to be excited to see you and, hey, great game or whatever, right? Um, that can be devastating because now who am I if nobody likes me? That's kind of where the brain goes. So the idea is that you have activities that hit one or more of those areas. So I talked a little bit about running. That's physical, obviously, very much so. The running group that I'm in, it's a group. I joined a group. So there's your emotional support and your intellectual, because I'm going to learn things from people about better ways to train, better food to eat, things like that. So you want to make sure that the activities that you do kind of evenly flow over all of those things. Generally speaking, most people have two areas they're really strong in and two areas they completely ignore, and one that's kind of somewhere in the middle. So, what I like to do with my clients is just sit down. Where are you right now? And what can we do to move you to where you're more evenly spread throughout all of the letters?
Well, that's a great method. You emphasize that retirement uh, is a transition, not a destination. What steps can someone take 5 to 10 years before retirement to begin this journey?
Well, I'm kind of old school. I do love making lists on pieces of paper that are posted where I can see them. So, again, we've talked about building relationships outside of work, but that's not the only thing. You're going to have lots of time on your hand, and it can be difficult when you have too much freedom all of a sudden to figure out what to do. So if you start 5 or 10 years ahead, oh, there was a really interesting article on the news about nanotechnology. That's really interesting. I'm going to add that to my list as something that I might look into later. Or building robots, or I'm a science nerd, can you tell? Or whatever, right? So if you start ahead of time, just as things pop in and out of your life that you think are interesting, make a note, start writing them down, keep a list so that when it comes to time that you've retired, you've already got something to start with and you don't have to have that blank page that can be so scary to do. The other thing that I encourage people to do is to start thinking about your ideal week. So when you're working, you have a routine, you have to get up at a certain time, you have to be a certain place, all that kind of stuff. When that goes away, what are you going to replace it with? What is your ideal routine? So, and you don't have to fill every day. I have one day a week that is a do nothing, talk to no one, I'm not even leaving the house day because I'm an introvert and I need that day to just decompress from the world. And so I specifically, right? But days, like I said, I have a friend I play video games with once a week. Okay, that's on my calendar. when I retire, what are some other things? Well, I like to read, so I'll put that on there, and I like to run. But just, thinking through all those different things and having kind of a general outline. It doesn't have to be set in stone. Again, it will change, but having a more specific timeline and idea like that than just the general, oh, I'm going to travel a lot, or oh, I'm going to spend time with my kids, or whatever it is. Getting more specific before you get there can really be a big step forward and help you avoid a lot of the other issues that can come up.
All right, you're doing so well. We only have a few more minutes, and
Okay.
audience, start putting in your prayer requests because she's going to say a prayer for you tonight.
Hmm.
So please type really quickly what your prayer request is, so Dawn could say a prayer for you. All right. Well, question. It says, what strategies do you recommend for couples where one
Mm,
spouse is retired and the other spouse is still working? You gave that example
I
earlier,
did.
especially in managing difficult schedules and expectations for their time together. Um,
Yes.
Etching out time together is a whole thing after
Hmm.
retirement when one
Hmm.
person is still working and the other one isn't.
So I recommend date night. I know it's kind of, I suppose lots of people are familiar with that anyway, but there's that mindset that, okay, she's retired. I see her every day now in the mornings or in the, what do we, no, you need to maintain some kind of rhythm where you're doing stuff together as a couple. Date night is just one example, but there can be other things where, okay, so if, and I'm just going to, she is retired, the wife is retired, which frequently happens before the husband. She's maybe going to be going and doing things and learning things. And are there things that the husband knows that he would be interested to having them do together as a couple that maybe he already knows how to do and she doesn't? Golf leaps to mind for me. And he thinks when he retires that they're going to get together and golf. Well, if she doesn't know how to golf, take some lessons. Let's start now before he retires or whatever the activity is. So, again, communication and expectations so that you are clear and be ready to make changes and pivot because it might not work. You've never been retired before. You don't know how it's going to feel or how it's going to work or what you're going to want to do. I mean, I'm usually up by 5:30 in the morning every day, whether I want to be or not. My body says it's time to get up. My husband's a night owl. Okay, so we kind of have this sweet spot in the early evening where we're both, awake and engaged and whatever. That might change when I retire and I haven't had to get up that early. I might start sleeping in. So it might be more of a, hey, honey, let's stay up tonight and watch a movie. I don't know. So being ready to pivot as needed and keeping open lines of communication is absolutely imperative.
It really is. Thank you for sharing that. Diamond
Mm-hmm.
says, I've started putting more thought into what I want my lifestyle timeline to look like. And she's a
Mm-hmm.
college student. So
Oh,
that's very
okay.
important to start ahead.
Yeah.
All right. And then we have, it is now time for prayer.
Okay.
And we have several prayer requests coming in. So please type now what your prayer request will be. Um, she says the best kind of nerd to be. I couldn't agree more. All right. So Diamond said, please pray that God continues to keep me and my family. And she also says, I've started, she says, pray for her to stay focused and organized um, in college. And so we want to pray for the college students.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria says, please pray that God continues to keep me and my family. And yes, it looks like most of everybody is saying pray for their families.
Okay.
And so we want to pray for the knowledge to know when to retire um, and such like how to retire to make sure everybody have their ducks all in a row before retirement so they won't
Mm-hmm.
suffer, because once you do that and you have it made Um, and there's another request. Please pray that God will continue to use and guide me. That's a good
Mhm.
one. And so, yeah, retirement is a thing. And so once you retire and you're not planning on going back to work anywhere, you just want to make sure it's the right decision for you, because many
Mhm.
people find out too late that they don't have enough to make ends meet. And then
Mhm.
you don't want to work your whole entire life and then go out of the world um, in lack. And so please
Mhm.
pray for that. All right? Take it away.
Okay. Sorry, I don't usually pray in public, so it makes me a little bit nervous. So please bear with me. But dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together, and thank you for all of the peoples who so kindly have listened to what I've had to say. I pray that my words reached those that needed to hear them and that they were helpful in some way. Please be with all of the people that are listening now and may listen in the future to help guide them and use them and identify their calling in life so that they can live a life that brings glory to you. Amen.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm holding this beautiful book up because it says filling the blank page. What is your blank page? What do you want your blank page to look like? How are you going to fill that page where you will be happy for the rest of your life? Or how are you going to help your spouse um, fill that page? Because sometimes our spouses, they need help knowing
Mhm.
that it's that they're coming home to a safe environment. You
Mhm.
know, they've worked, they've been the breadwinner, they've gone out for so many years, and now to come home is probably is a desponding thing.
Mhm.
So, wife, spouse, help your husband and vice versa to come home to a safe environment where they can retire with ease. You all can travel the globe, hit a country a year, you know, go on boat excursions. She said, beautiful prayer. I've got my book.
Thank
Oh,
you.
she ordered her book. And if you
No, thank
ordering the book,
you.
please let us know that you have ordered this book. It's so much in this book, you all. Um, I should just briefly share with you a little bit more that's in this book, and we didn't touch on it, but she talks about family and prioritizing time
Mhm.
with your children, grandchildren, and other relatives. She talks about the mental health, the physical well being. She talks about freedom, security, financial stability, and peace of mind. That's a huge one. She talked
Mhm.
about growth, continuing personal development through learning habits or travel or and
Mhm.
travel. Um, Community, engaging in community is huge, and I just engaged in
Huge.
a community of ladies that has been a blessing to me. And like you said, your brother got you into running the marathon, and then
Mhm.
now you're also what was the other thing you said you were doing? You
So
entered a
I'm
group.
yeah, old ladies running.
Old ladies
It's a
running.
Facebook
And
group.
so yeah, and so I'm in a group now that's meet once a week, and it's been breathtakingly a
Mhm.
blessing for me. And I recommend you all to get out of your comfort zone. And I know you are an introvert. I'm an extrovert, and sometimes an introvert at times. It depends on the day, the month, the year.
Mhm.
But I love people, so I'm a social
Mhm.
person. But um, now that I have found this group, it has opened me up to a world of new things. Like you said, I would never have done this before. So we
Mhm.
go out to eat, we have, great conversations, and it's just phenomenal. I recommend you to find your niche, find your group, find your person that will help you age gracefully
Mhm.
during this retirement stage. Did
Mhm.
you want to say something?
I don't think so. I think you covered it very well. Thank you.
You're welcome. You also talk about join a spiritual community. That is
Mhm.
very huge. Number one, it is a proven fact that if you go to a church that you are healthier.
Mhm.
It's, you know, I've read that somewhere. And so
Yeah,
we're
that's
saying
very true.
here, yeah, it's true. Places of worship, attend services, ceremonies, or gatherings at a church, temple, or
Mhm.
other places of worship. You said groups and classes, join study groups, oh, meditation classes, and
Mhm.
or spiritual discussion groups to deepen your understanding and connection of others. We're in a world of other people. We're
Mhm.
not just in a world of our own, right? And so God, the way God made it, we are to connect with humans.
Yeah.
Touch is very important. Hugs is
Yes.
everything. Like you can heal yourself just from hugging.
Mhm.
Laughter. The scripture said laughter is good as a medicine. That's
Mhm.
purposeful. And
Mhm.
the other day I was driving to meet some ladies and I just started laughing. And I said, if anybody was in the car with me, they would think I was crazy, right? But laughter, it just, and I just felt so much better.
Mhm.
So this book, retirement doesn't mean to sit in a chair and watch TV. She's
No.
telling you here that retirement is huge and you can do so many things. And she also talks about 4 strategies to build resiliency. All right.
Mhm.
So go and purchase this book. Let us know that you have it. And do me a favor, write a review. I
Oh,
put a
yes.
review on Amazon already for you
Thank
to
you.
let you know because all reviews will build the algorithm and then her book
Mhm.
will be seen more often. So go
Mhm.
ahead and purchase and write a review. And if you enjoyed this dynamic interview, we would love for you to submit a donation. Um, and here are the ways to give on the screen. You can do Cash App at Dr. S.E. Jackson. You can also submit a donation via Venmo. And of course, you can always write a check. And if you want to do that, we would give you the information. Also, my assistant has put um, PayPal on here if you want to give a donation because this is a pay to play platform. We have to pay for our um, spots here. And also, you can donate stars on Facebook by clicking the star in the chat right there. Stars are only like 50 something cents. So go ahead and send a couple stars to let us know that you are watching and that you are supporting. We make it available for everybody, no matter how uh, your pocketbook is. Um, you can afford something to bless us with. And so we are giving to you, and we are offering right now an opportunity for you to sow a seed and be blessed because God loves a cheerful giver. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Please spread the word and share this live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Sandra's Authors Forum Talk Show. We thank you so much, Dawn, for appearing tonight. We pray that this has been a blessing for you as well as us. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We want to remind our audience, even if you are replaying this live, that there is a way for you to purchase this beautiful book, Filling the Blank Page. Filling the Blank Page. She's giving you many, many choices and many ideas for you to fill your page. You have no excuse at all. She left no excuse for you to sit home and be majorly depressed. She's
There you
giving
go.
you a merit of opportunities to make your life full and abundant. All right. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And you can follow Dawn on LinkedIn or Facebook, and that should be in the comments as well. If you have any questions, they're saying thank you, Dawn, for
Thank
showing up
you.
tonight. hmm If you have any more questions, please feel free to put it in the comment section and she will join and
Yes,
answer and respond to you. All
you
right.
bet.
May God bless you and may heaven smile upon you is our prayer.